Hello, everyone. Today I'm very excited about our next interview from the ToolSense Interview-Series workshop talks. I'm Jennifer and I'm responsible for the communication at ToolSense. And our guest today is Karen Fink, Senior Project Manager at ISS Denmark. And then, of course, like always, I would like to introduce Alexander Manafi, CEO and co-founder of ToolSense. Ms. Fink, perhaps you could tell us a few sentences about yourself and ISS Denmark. Where are you based? How many employees do you have? And what solutions do you provide?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on this podcast. Yeah, my name is Karen Fink. I'm working with ISS Denmark. I have been in the company for about 10 years, mainly in customer experience and in operational performance in the Danish part of ISS. All over the world, ISS Group is employing about 350,000 people. And in Denmark, we are 6,000. We are servicing cleaning, food services, techniques, and the work experience, both in common solutions and single service, depending on the customer needs. So yeah, that's me. And right now, as I said, I'm project manager in the operational performance, which is at the headquarters in Denmark. And we are, and right now my main task is to implement the ToolSense tool at all our accounts in Denmark.
Great. Thank you very much. Then we already come to our first question. Ms. Fink, how did you first get in touch with ToolSense?
Actually, the contract was made by ISS Group, the headquarters. And then in Denmark, not especially me, but at CLT level, they have been looking into handling assets in different way. There's not been any structure and procedures that has given data or given the knowledge of the fleet that we would like. So it was very appreciated that the group came up with this tool and have made a good agreement with the ToolSense. So we actually didn't made any, views or looks into the market for a tool like this, because we depended on the work that was done on group. But we had some meetings with Alexander and his colleagues and saw by ourselves the opportunities this ToolSense would give, and also at the same time, a colleague from Austria was working a couple of months in Denmark, and Austria have been using ToolSense for all the time than we have, so they also could share some stories and some benefits that they have developed from using ToolSense. So it was actually internally that we got provided with the knowledge of the ToolSense system and how we could gain value from that. And I just think that it was the right time for our organization to look into that, and that there were resources that was able to work with it at this point of time.
Awesome. And what would also be interesting to us is, how did you work in asset management and safety checks prior to ToolSense? And what were the challenges maybe?
It was very handheld. It was manually. It was spreadsheets that was, sent back and forth. And it was locally that we have, of course, regulations about tricks and mandatory checks that are, set by government. But it was locally they were managing the documentation for it, and it was only by word or by asking people you would know where the documentation were, and when people left one account or left the company, a lot of history was lost every time. So we knew we had a really big problem. We just didn't have the system or the procedures in place to make sure that we kept all the history, kept all the data by ourselves.
Thank you. And Ms. Fink, where do you see the added value that ToolSense can bring to ISS?
Definitely in in owning the data ourselves, and also the knowledge that we gain from having a living tool, so to speak, like a tool that is used by operation as well as head office. At all layers, you can gain value. Of course, the process we are in now is collecting all the data in, and that is quite time consuming and quite tedious work. But that is also necessary, because when we have the right data, then there's so many options for us to use the data both for the operation, and that is actually what is great, that the first one that gained value from ToolSense is the operation. That's much easier to talk them into helping out getting the data when they also can see the benefit themselves immediately. But when we then have the full fleet data in a couple of months' time, then there, my procurement department is ready to use them. My health and safety department is ready to use the data. And the financing is ready to use the data. So there are so many places and so many benefits that we can gain, and I'm not sure that we really have seen all of them yet, and we definitely not know how we will use all of them yet, but we can see the potential, and we already have gained value for sure in different cases.
Wow, thanks for sharing your insights. And maybe looking into the future a little bit more, what is your vision for the cooperation between ISS and ToolSense?
The vision is that we, as I said, we know there is lots of opportunities that we don't exploit right now because we are at a very early stage. So our vision is to get closer, to learn more of all the benefits that other companies have that is longer ahead in the use of ToolSense, to learn from them the business cases, the best practices from them, and then when our organization is ready, we also can see that there can be more scopes. Right now it's cleaning machines, but we can also see there can be other scopes of assets within our organization that we can discuss whether ToolSense would be the right tool to use them for. We have some other groups of assets that are managed in other systems or in another way, but perhaps we see a possibility of collecting more in ToolSense ahead. But of course, we need to have the basics right first.
That sounds like a good plan and a good vision.
Yeah.
And in what situation can ToolSense help you in your operations, and where can you save time and money maybe?
At all layers, I would say, from the overview, like we in many of our contracts in Denmark, we have even we are a small country, we have a quite geographical spread. So that means that in a lot of the contracts, the manager is not present all the time at the contract. So this interaction of not having a machine, not being able to function because no manager know about it or have got the information. We also have operation, or a lot of contractors operating 24 hours, or cleaning during nighttime, and then that they can send the ticket off to the manager about problems with the machines overnight, so it can be fixed perhaps the same day. That is definitely going to save us money. Then, about excess machines that have been, stored somewhere in any contracts. Now we're collecting them to a central warehousing, and that gives us an overview of those machines we have there, and we have the option or possibility to allocate them to other contracts or to new contracts instead of buying new machines. So that is definitely creating value money-wise, but also sustainability-wise. That is a big issue for us, that we are, using our assets the best way and the optimal way, instead of throwing them away or selling them off, if we can use them internally. And then, as I said earlier, all the data we can use at different levels to optimize processes, to ensure that we have the right level of checks at the machines. And that is really that will be really time consuming, or time leaving less time spent for the managers around the contracts when it's automated in the system, because they will be able to see when they're due. Then will be able to, there's a strict process on how to do the checks, and that will definitely save a lot of time in sending emails and where is this documentation. So yeah, in lots of places. But again, as I was mentioned earlier, that it's create value in the operation. That is really a main value for us, because it also means that they are keen to use it, because it helps them straight away. It's not just something they send off to headquarters.
Thank you. Alexander, maybe would you like to add anything here?
So what I really like here in this project, I mean, in general, facility services is oftentimes very decentral. You know, where the different accounts and sites, it's like oftentimes companies within a company. And the challenge that then can happen is that, you know, you don't necessarily have all the synergies that you could have. And this was, I think, very, very interesting to me, as Karen already mentioned. We moved actually to a central, you know, warehousing concept rather, where you can use synergies between sites, and this way it becomes more efficient. And so by now, I think we've reached a very nice point where the different workflows are digitized. Lifecycle management, you know, like moving machines, scrapping machines, these kind of things, problem reporting, checks. But on the other side, what is also great is that we also integrate the IoT, right? So
Yeah.
Denmark
Yeah,
is already a supplier. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and IoT wise, for ISS, of course, the carbon is a big issue on how we can help saving our planet that wise, and the data that we get in there is also really valuable for us to have collected in one place, because then we can combine that with the data and reports that our sustainability departments are working with at the moment. So they are also very keen to get the fingers in the data when it's all there. So yeah, and the IoT, we are, you know, in future we are expecting much more use of, for instance, robots of different kinds, and past, it has been very manually driven, also the way that the industry is running. So, you know, in increasing use of technology also enhance that we would need to have a system where we can collect the data, so we can justify or report to clients why this is a good kind of using the machines, and switch to other types of machines. And that would never be possible if it was handheld. We will need to have data documentation that is collected from different suppliers, and ToolSense give us the option to connect it all into one place, instead of we have to look in 100 places to get the data. So that is definitely ahead, something that we will be creating much more value from having ToolSense too.
And the point is, right, in cleaning, only a small portion of the cost is the machines.
Yeah.
But the processes surrounding the machines have a big impact on the other cost.
Yeah.
Right? If the machine is broken, then the cleaner needs to clean manually or not clean, or, you know, so there's a lot of hidden cost that is not necessarily visible in the P&L. And and so there, I think this is the nice way when you digitize the workflows, and then even get more and more actual machine data, information that previously we just didn't have. It's just a very different way of working, a smarter, more efficient way. And I really like what Karen said before, that actually there was the situation where, because you now have a central record of the machines and the status, right, that actually less machines were bought, you know, as a result. And this is in the end a very, very tangible ROI, which is of course great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. This is already leading to our last question. Where do you see the status quo of digitalization in the facility management? And what do you think will change within the next 10 years?
I think a lot of things will change. Just like Alexander just said, the labor cost of the services that we provide is very heavy, and it's a low margin industry. So the investment in digitalization is not we're not forerunner in any way because of that. There's not enough money in it, so to speak. And also the cost of devices for each labor there has been several apps invented during the years, but it has been very cost expensive or extensive for the companies. So I expect that ahead with apps or tools like ToolSense, which is not requiring that everybody has an access, have to pay a user fee, but you can, those that need to use the system, but others can add input or tickets. That kind of technology will enhance or being used much more because that is cost efficient compared to the margins in the industry. And I also think that, of course, with the IoT being developed even more and come into more and more machines, it also makes sense that you have more digitalization, and AI probably also would be a benefit in some ways. Not that I know a lot of how or at the moment, but in 10 years' time, I'm sure that will be something that also changes some of the ways that we will use or digitalize different aspects of our services. So all over, I'm sure that we are on a journey that is not stopping here. This is only the beginning, and good for that, because it's both a low margin industry, but it also, especially cleaning, is really hard for the employees. It's hard work. So the more that we can digitalize with robots and work smarter, that is good for our employees and the well-being of them in the future.
Very true words. Thank you. Then we already reached the end. Thank you for this exciting exchange. I was very pleased that you, Ms. Fink, were here today, and perhaps we will hear from each other again very soon.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.